What an important word, the word attachment. It is a word of fire. It is a word of passions, pleasures, disasters, and suffering. Amazing how one single word can entail such contradictory elements of life. Attachment. To be attached. There's different ways to be attached. You can be attached by being bound. You can be attached by glue. You can be attached by feelings. You can be attached by commitment. You can be attached by fear. Attachment is a world of its own. In Sanskrit, it's Prashangamajram. It is well known that attachment is the cause of all suffering. But now let's hear how it goes on. Prashangamajram Pasham Atmano Vidayovidu. Saeva Sadushu Krito Mokshadvaram Apavritam. Even though attachment is the root cause of material downfall and pain, if that attachment is transferred to a sadhu, and Krishna meaning together, Saeva Sadhushu Krito, then that very attachment opens the door to liberation. Mokshadvara Pavrita. Automatically. Have you ever seen an automatic door? You can see them in the airports in Europe. You approach the door, and by electronic sensor, the door is opening, knowing that somebody is coming in. Open. That's how it works. Your heart's feeling is censored, and the obstruction from leaving this material world is removed. Automatically, with the attachment to a sadhu in your heart, the doors to liberation open. That means the door into the life of purity, the door into goodness, the door into dharma, the door into devotion, the door into higher and higher and higher and higher, however high you may get. Who knows, that's a separate story here. But the thing is, when you are attached to a sadhu, then you want to be good. You are going to take care of it. That now I'm going to change my life. And not artificially. Attachment of this type is so strong that it becomes your own heart's concern. How can I go in front of my guru and tell him, sorry Gurudev, I didn't follow the regulative principles. I didn't read your books. I didn't pay attention to anything. Instead, I was just hanging in front of a television and going out with all the nonsense people, doing all the nonsense things. Gurudev, can you please give me your blessing? What is this? The Guru will be very unhappy. So you know that, and you don't want to make the Guru unhappy. Therefore, the attachment to the Guru, the attachment to the Vaishnavas in general, the attachment to Vrindavan, to the attachment to the Ishtadev, the attachment to holy topics, the attachment to the remnants of Krishna, like Prasadam, flower garlands, the attachment to doing some service, to taking up some responsibility. There's plenty of positive attachments to substitute the negative attachments. Because you've got to have what Srila Prabhupada used to call the higher taste. You ought to have the higher taste. This is very essential. Without the higher taste, you will be enslaved by the lower taste, because you can't live without taste. Rasa means also taste, a flavor. We cannot live without any taste. Impersonalist philosophers sometimes propose to make yourself tasteless, but that is a tasteless proposal. A person without taste is pale, stale, boring, zero. How much can we talk about zero? Zero becomes significant in conjunction with the one. Otherwise, zero is nothing but zero, and that's zero. So why to speak about zero? And who is one? Eka is God. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasava Vricha. He is the one who makes everyone function and having his intrinsic value. Why? Because the Creator is greater than the creation. But by the greatness of the Creator, the creation gains its significance and its validity. We are valuable because our Lord and Master is the most valuable of all. He is the infinite Lord of love and the supreme powerhouse as well. If you look at it carefully, Krishna says, I'm the origin of both the material and the spiritual world. The sages who know that, they worship me with all their heart. Well, what else are they going to do? You are going to worship the one who is the origin of your own existence. Just like we naturally glorify the cook after we have eaten a nice meal. What a nice prasad was that. We feel touched by a special kirtan, which somehow or other touched our heart. We say, oh, who was that? Who was singing so sweetly? We are very curious about who wrote this extraordinary book. We want to get to know the one who gave an extraordinary speech. We want to get to know somebody who has made some extraordinary artwork. But we don't want to get to know the creator of everything, yeah? Very logical. This is the pinnacle of envy. When you're so envious in this material conception and contamination that when it comes to giving honor to the Supreme, we prefer to enter into denial and say, maybe he is some kind of energy and I'm part of this energy. And then you hear this mantra, Soham. Oh, that's a nice mantra. I am. It's me. It's me and I alone. Soham. There's nobody beyond me. There's nobody to bow my head to. There's nobody I have to pay thanks. There's nobody I can become attached to. There's nobody I can love. There's nobody I can surrender to and give my heart and soul to him. Such a superior divine agent is not existing. It's Soham. It's me. Me and me and me and me and me and you also, but that's a separate issue. So, this is the pinnacle of envy, the pinnacle of aversion towards surrender to God. And how many books have been written on that topic? In flowery words, they've tried to point out that the energetic portion of God is the all in all. We are not in denial about the energetic portion of God's creation. We very highly appreciate both the energetic portion in its manifest as well as in its immanifest way. His energetic portion in its manifest way turns to be out the Virata Rupa. It is the portion called the universal form, which means mountains, Himalayas. It means rivers, Ganges, Yamuna, Saraswati. It means forests full of beautiful banyan trees, just like on Govinda Kunda. We were sitting in this incredible multi-branched Kalpa Vriksha banyan tree, giving shelter in an incredible way. Oh, Govardhan, so merciful. There are so many wonderful trees. And this is all part of the universal form. What about the dust, the earth, which makes all food growing? What about the elements such as water and fire, which is so amazing that we worship God with fire? Fire, Agni, power of God. Shiva, Jwar, the heat, which can eventually devour the entire universe. And we take a very small lamp, because not too big, it gets too hot, and we offer, oh my Lord, let this water and this fire and this air be yours. Or it's his anyway, but let me be yours as well as I'm making my offering to you. So in this way, fire is also a visible part of the lighthouse energy of the infinite. Wow, incredible. So we appreciate the energetic portion of Lord's creation. And in the immanifest way, the all underlying principle of consciousness in itself, consciousness, Jivatma, coming from the Tatashta, from the marginal region of the intermediate area between the spiritual world and the material world, where the Lord's energy is actually fragmenting to the effect of all individualities, that portion which we are quite much part of it, because each and everyone is one of those fragmented beings of the Lord's creation. We can see that his immanifest energy has the capacity, according to his sweet will, to take an infinite amount of shapes and influences. It can be jiva and it can be air. It can be fire and it can be water. It can be consciousness and it can be subconsciousness. It can be intelligence and it can be ahankara. But the underlying principle of the individuality is rasa. Rasa means the capacity of feeling, of attachment. Particular attachment. That is not coming from Tatashta. That is coming from Antaranga. This is coming from his own inner heart's potential. Because Krishna's Akila Rasamrita Murti, Rasovaisa, is Rasaraj Sri Krishna. And everybody, like you and me, who are coming from him, have an intrinsic potential for rasa. And that rasa wants to have its fulfillment in the world of divine relationship. Not in the world of matter. As a matter of fact, we have tried to extract rasa from matter for a long time in the way of material sense gratification. But it has not turned out satisfactorily. So now is the time to understand that attachment to God is the divine key to the higher realms, and that is being celebrated here and today by the Kartik 5th jam of the attachment to Krishna in the afternoon pastimes. And it is sustained by the feelings of the 5th shloka of the Shikshastakam, which we will now meditate upon. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tava pada pankaja stita duli sadrisham vichintaya. O Nandanandan, in spite of my being your eternal servant, due to predicament of my own deeds, I am drowned in the terrible ocean of birth and death. Out of compassion, kindly think me as a dust particle of your lotus feet. A personal, loving approach, a plea for help, a recognition, a repentant recognition of one's own faulty attitude. It's only due to you and you again. If anything unfavorable, unhappy has ever come to you, it has been the product of your wrong decisions. Don't blame others. Don't blame God. In the words of Srila Bhakti Rakha Maharaj, my beloved Shiksha Guru, he said, once you reach to understand the nectar of devotion, you will come to realize that all the difficulties previously experienced due to your lack of sincerity and surrender, which brought sufferings upon you, are really absolutely nothing in comparison to the nectar storehouse which has been waiting for you. In other words, you will consider that there was just little tests to bring me to home, back to home, to my eternal love relationship. So somehow or other, we should not fall into the great danger of blaming anything on God, because that will be detrimental towards our loving attachment towards Him. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's hymn invoking Krishna's grace. I am your eternal servant. By forgetting you, I am entangled by your illusory energy, and I have been drowned in the ocean of birth and death. Kindly, please, consider me as a dust particle of your lotus feet. I am your eternal servant. Engage me in your service. Make me an instrument of your love. This is the essence here. The essence of surrender. I have nothing more to argue here. I am your servant. And I beg for the mercy of being able to serve. Serving you, my life will be full of joy and meaning. Without serving you, I will simply keep in the ocean of birth and death, suffering. I can't bear it any further. Please release me and make me a particle of your lotus feet as dust. That is humble. You want to be a dust particle at the Lord's feet. But what does that mean? A dust particle at the feet of the infinite is an infinite could not be anything more holy than the feet of the Lord. And thus particularly his feet, they're becoming the preachers of the divine love in this world. It's not that it's an impersonal position, I want to become dust. No, you want to become egoless. You want to become without all the demands and conditions which have kept you so far away from Krishna. The indication of afternoon eternal pastimes of Radha Krishna are very confidential. Sri Govinda Lilamrita states, Sri Radham Praptagiham Nijaramane Kriti Krita Nanupaharam Shushnatam Brahmiyavisham Priyamukha Kamalaluka Purna Pramodam Sri Krishnam Chaiva Parahami Vrajam Anuchalitam Dinu Vrindair Vayasyai Shri Radha Loka Triptam Pitri Mukha Militam Bhatri Mishtam Smadami. I remember such Srimati Radharani who has returned from Radhakunda to Javat in the afternoon and is engaged for preparing various good dishes of different names, Amrita Keli, Karpur Keli, for presenting to beloved Sri Krishna. Radharani also takes bath nicely, dresses herself with good garments to satisfy Sri Krishna, and very anxiously waits on the path for the return of Krishna from pasture, and extremely delighted to see the lotus face of Sri Krishna. It is to be very carefully noted here that whatever Radharani is doing is not to satisfy her or to satisfy other persons. Her ultimate target is to satisfy Krishna and Krishna alone. Means is justified by the end. Krishna's pastimes in the afternoon. Krishna with cows or calves and cowherd boys return from the grazing ground of the cows, Rajadan, and on seeing Radharani on the way is extremely delighted. Krishna is attracted by the pure love of Radharani. After returning to the house, Krishna meets his father Nanda Maharaj and other father-like milkmen as well as Mother Yashoda and other mother-like milkwomen. All Gopa Gopis are extremely delighted to get Krishna back and to see him. Yashoda Devi, out of affection, embraces and cleanses Krishna. I remember such Krishna in the afternoon. So the afternoon pastime is a lot of feeling of longing and separation. It's his attachment. Krishna's tending the cows. Of course, his incredible attachment to Radharani is so strong that he has to meet her anyway. But otherwise, the other Gopas, the elder, Mother Yashoda, they only get to see them when they come back. So, attachment to the Supreme, divine relationship, Nitya Sambandha, the cure from all diseases. This is such a wonderful thing. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has further enhanced our understanding as he does in Bhajan Rahasya, with particular important advice given. He's giving us the classical Bhagavatam verses which tell us what is the stage of bhava gradually attained by the mercy of Krishna and regular chanting of the holy names without offenses. So, we want to get bhava. Bhava means attachment, feelings, longings, intensity in our relationship. So by regularly chanting without offenses and hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Rivyanta Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam Nashta Pareshwa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Yutam Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Tadara Jastamo Bhava Kamalubhada Yaschaye Chetataira Navidam Shtitam Sattve Prashidati. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and is a benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his message, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service under the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Such a devotee praises for Krishna, and he prays for his mercy. As a classical verse, which Srila Maharaj used to quote very frequently. Please make this verse one of your well understood and well remembered shlokas. Tatinu kampam shushani kshamanu unjanai vatman kritam nipakam vidvatvapubir vidatam namaste jivetayo mukti pada sadayabak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Very significant verse, because sometimes in life things don't work out the way you wish. So what you going to do then? Going to complain, oh, I took initiation from the Guru, but I'm still getting a cold. So what kind of initiation was that? Something like that, no? Patiently tolerating that you have to accept your karma, whatever it entails, but you don't give up your irrevocable determination to become his servant. Then you can survive any type of difficulty. Even if something happens in your spiritual mission, which is not so palatable, which sometimes happen because in spiritual missions there's a lot of not so spiritual people called neophytes, and sometimes even false people who are not devotees at heart. They've just come to see what trouble they can make or what material benefit they can take. So it's sometimes painful. You can see it, even our own children do not necessarily always do what they're supposed to do, even though they know it's better to not do it. So, what to speak of people like that, who are coming into a spiritual community? They are not always acting perfectly. And you have to tolerate that. Of course, we have to try to always purely overcome the difficulties, but we have to go on tolerating and following our ideals under all conditions. One who is situated in this condition attains supreme spiritual peace, as confirmed in the Srila Bhagavatam. My dear King, the devotees who worship the lotus feet of the infallible personality of God, who constantly endeavor, thus achieves unflinching devotion, detachment, and experiences knowledge of the personality of God. In this way, the successful devotees of the Lord achieve supreme spiritual peace in the form of prema. Wow. here we are getting loved by tolerance, by going on, following those wonderful ideals our great spiritual teachers have given to us, following the 9 types of devotional service which we had been describing in the song we were singing today, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Mandanam. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. As the stage of bhava arises, attachment for service is spontaneous. The following prayer of Rita Sura is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Attachment to service. Attachment doesn't mean you're sitting there and you're just feeling some trembling. Oh, and it trembles and it trembles and it trembles and nothing else happens. No, the attachment for service is what really means something good is happening inside of you. You mean, they have a nice saying in South America, it's not with the sweat on the forehead of others, it's with the sweat on your own forehead that you can achieve something. So only when you're sweating it out for Krishna, then you will also get the mercy. So the attachment to service means also the attachment to taking responsibilities. And we have so many responsibilities, seriously speaking. Any person who wants to help the spiritual master take a real valuable responsibility, he immediately can find such a humble position. He'll find it because it's required, it's needed. I remember once I went on Sankirtan book distribution in 1973. I had already been doing that for 2 years continuously, going out and distributing the books of my spiritual master. So one day the question came to my mind, will I be doing this for the rest of my life? Just going out and giving books to people, say, please take it, please take it, please take it, please take it, and give us a help for our ashram? My heart's answer was yes. I have no problem with this. This is a wonderful engagement, meeting so many people and leaving them with something valuable, tangible in their hands. This is very good. Plus, we are also collecting enough money to printing books, opening temples, so it is quite nice. But then from within my heart came a different answer. And that was, and who is going to take care of that these things will be nicely managed? And I was dumbstruck with this inner feeling, because it was like, what? Does it mean I have to stop doing this and doing something else? Maybe 1 week later I got a call that I had to go to Denmark because the temple president had left the position of that, taking care of this temple, and I was requested to take over management in that temple. So here I was, from the book distributor who had always been there on the streets. All of a sudden I was put into a position of managing Sunday feast, buying boga, paying taxes, getting the rent, and getting books printed in that language, in Danish. It was all new to me, but I realized there were parts of what Prabhupada wanted to be done. So, preaching is the essence, it's the most wonderful activity, but be ready to do more. Be ready to do more wonderful things. Be ready to help others in any way it is required. Don't limit yourself to one service or other. Don't say, I'm only good for pujari, I'm only good for the kitchen, I'm only good for the agriculture. No. A devotee, one of the symptoms of a real Brahmin is that they can do anything and everything for their spiritual master. When it is required from them, they are ready to do it. Even organizational things, skills. Of course, we try to engage devotees according to their skills. That's a natural thing to do. But sometimes you have to do things for the need of the day where you don't even have a skill for it. You have to do it whatever way you can, or you have to try to make it in a skillful way. Maybe along the side you are becoming skilled, because last but not least, skills are acquired by practice. That's why people always have to practice certain things. So even attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that also comes when we are attached or associated with those who are skillfully serving Him because they feel attached to Him. It becomes contagious. So in this way, a very wonderful declaration how to intensify our relationship with the Lord. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to serve your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. The living entity is the enjoyed, and Krishna is the enjoyer. Therefore, by regularly discharging devotional service, the hope for achieving the service of the ever-blissful Sri Radha gradually increases. At that time, one's feeling for service in the mood of the gopi manifests. The mood of the gopis is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very advanced instruction. This is topmost confidential instruction for development of spiritual taste and prem and love. So these are advices to wanting to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. Do not aspire to serve the Supreme. Aspire to serve the most close available connection to His sweet service. Because those who want to serve the Supreme directly are not very charming to Him. It is like somebody, I would like to be Radha. That is not devotional attitude. I would like to learn to serve Radha the way she serves Krishna, so that I can be a useful servant to her. That's different. But otherwise it will be like, Radharani is always with Krishna. That's the position I would like to have. You see, everything is being taught in these holy traditions. The teachings of rasa, of transcendental relationships of loving taste, that is an ocean of rasa. Rasamrita. It is nectar. This is rasa. Therefore, O vanquisher of all desires, please show us mercy. To approach your lotus feet, we abandon our family and homes, and we have no desire other than to serve you. Our hearts are burning with intense desire generated by your smiling, beautiful glances. O jewel amongst men, please make us your maidservants. So falling in love with God and aspiring to become His eternal female assistant in the group of Srimad Radharani. That's very advanced topic, but this is called the Kartik Vrata. This is what we are allowed to hear about, allowed to think about, allowed to talk about. This is a very special month and a very special mercy. This is the plan, how to definitely once and for all fall in love with God. And not only this, but aspire to be one of His beloved. Because Krishna, the infinite Lord, He has infinite beloved devotees. Millions of Lakshmis and Gopis are always with Him. How does that work? Achintya, my friend, inconceivable. Krishna married 16,000 wives. Anybody likes to compete with him? Anybody says, oh yeah, I'm also doing that. We have heard of extraordinary cases of some sheikh, maybe in the Arabian areas, some king who had a wife for each day of the year. That's only 365, just a little bunch there. 16,000, that's a different number, you know. So the Lord can marry every living entity. That is the whole point here. He is opening His heart to everyone, to a loving relationship, to a topmost loving relationship in the transcendental realm. Don't try to understand it. Just worship it. Just glorify it. Just dance in ecstasy. Don't say, how does it work? Where will be my palace? How will the whole thing? Will my palace be before Satyabhama or behind or any kind of mental trips like this we have in the material world? No. Give it all up. Give it all up. Give it all up. Just surrender to the sweet will of Krishna. Fall in love with God. Because a good thing to do, because He won't forsake you. He's not the one you fall in love with Him and then He lets you there planted alone forever. Or maybe for some time just to see if your love is real. Or to glorify your love, whatever. Because He is free to do anything and everything He wants. That will come in the next verse. Now the Shikshastakam is getting more intense. We are number 5. Wait till you hear 6, 7, and 8. It's becoming very, very, very intense. What real love really entails. Therefore, awake Krishnas of all these dress, please show us mercy. To approach your lotus feet, we abandoned our families and homes. Seeing your face encircled by curling locks of hair, your cheeks beautified by earrings, your lips full of nectar, your smiling glance, your 2 imposing arms which take away our fear, and your chest which is the only source of pleasure for the goddess of fortune, we must become your maid servant. Here it is the determination. There's no other option. If you're fortunate enough to feel like that, we must become your maid servant. Now Lord Krishna is in trouble, right? More girls are surrendering to him. After he killed Banasura, he wanted to send all those girls back to their parents, but they just looked at him and said, you can't do that to us, dear Prince Krishna. First you saved us from this demon, and now you're here in front of us, and our hearts and souls, our eyes are just glued to your lotus feet, and we don't want to go home. Can you please keep us with you? Lucky girls, huh? Freed from the demon and then attached to the Supreme Personality of God. And Krishna said, okay, I'll make the arrangements. Nice, no? 16,000 wives. That means he had to look after them, you know. Of course, no problem, because he has good connections, you know. He's the Supreme Lord, but nevertheless, you know, he had to expand himself into 16,000 Krishnas. And for each and every one, he made a separate palace in which each and every one, he had children and a very wonderful household affair. And they were all thinking, oh, Krishna loves me the most. He's always by me. He's always in my house. Only sometimes at night, Krishna was sleeping. All of a sudden he was saying, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. And the queens become very worried. Why is he not saying my name? Who is this Radhe? What's going on? Because Radharani is and always will be the Supreme Personality of God. It's loving Ladini Shakti potency. Expert transcendentalists always direct their affection towards you because they recognize you as their true self and eternal beloved. We used to have for these husbands, children, and relatives of ours who simply gave us trouble. Excuse me. What use do we have for these husbands, children, and relatives of ours who simply give us trouble? That is a revolutionary sentence, and it's shaking right into the heart of the Grihastha life. What use is there of these attachments to husbands and all that? It is nothing helpful, as a matter of fact. And they all leave us anyway at the end. So, here is my real love has come. Which doesn't mean you've got to neglect those others, but you should not put them as a topmost priority. Krishna and your service to Guru has to be the topmost priority of your life. Doesn't matter whether you're married, doesn't matter whether you have children, this is all secondary. What to speak of neighbors and relatives and friends, because relatives usually are just gossipers. Very rarely do you have a spiritual relative who really wants to talk spiritual topics. Relatives usually want to talk about houses, cars, money, climate, politics, or just their who likes who doesn't like who. Oh, one of the most horrible of all conversations of this world come from those so-called friends and relatives who really don't care anything higher. So let's see what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur advises from this Sri Sankalpa Prakara Stotra of Stavavali. The necessity for taking shelter of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani is described. How is it possible to immerse oneself in the ocean of Shyama Rasa, love for Krishna, or for Madhurya Rasa, without worshipping the dust of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, or without taking shelter of Vrindavan, which is decorated with her footprints, or without serving her devotees, whose grave hearts are always absorbed in love for her? The pride of Radha's maidservants is described in the following words. After giving up the pride of falsely identifying the material body with the self by the mercy of Krishna, I reside in Braja as a gopi, as Radharani's maidservant. I always take pleasure serving Radha and Krishna in the Parakiya Rasa pastimes, giving up all other engagements for the service of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani is described in Radha Rasa Sudadini. All these Goswamis have written so many nectarian informations about divine love. It is absolutely amazing. Srimati Radharani's glory is unlimited, unfathomable, and we can only approach her love and her beauty full plan for each and every one of us by the grace of our Guru Deva, Srila Asya Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, because he has brought this entire life of devotion into movement. A world of devotion he has put into motion. Yes, many others, of course, participating in that as well. But if it was not for him, we would surely not know anything about it. So he is a very intimate agent of Srimati Radharani's plans for the whole world, inviting us to hear and know about Radharani's grace and Radharani's mercy. And Radharani means Krishna is the enjoyer and she is the enjoyed. Are you ready to be enjoyed by Krishna, or do you still want to be enjoyer? Thank you very much for listening to these words, for your further meditation of today. Today is also the disappearance of Tridanti Swami Sri Srimad Bhakti Sarvaswati Maharaj and the Bhatri Dvitiya Kritam festival. Bhakti Sarvasya Giri Maharaj was one of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who joined us in the meeting in Sriram Mayapur of the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. And he came with one of the Harmonist magazines. This is the old magazines published at the time of Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So he had that meeting there, and he was reading everything which the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha was doing in those days. And then he said, and these are all the activities the World Vaishnava Association is doing today. This means that the World Vaishnava Association is Srila Jiva Goswami's and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha. It was from that day on that we utilized officially the name Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha, thanks to Bhakti Sarvasya Giri Maharaj, who was very great supporter of these beginning days of the World Vaishnava Association. Bhatri Dvitiya Kritriya. So, as Sadhu Maharaj pointed out, there's the physical brothers and sisters. But besides the physical brothers and sisters, there's also the devotional brothers and sisters. The devotional brothers and sisters are the brothers, the disciples of our spiritual master. In other words, all the male disciples are the brothers of their sisters, who are the female disciples of the Guru. And in the Vaishnava Sangha. So, since we don't have such an intimate relationship, as the nature of brahmachari life is peculiarly strict, we have done this before, and today we shall repeat it. Every man and every woman should buy a gift for their brothers and put your name for my brother. But instead of giving it yourself, we will all offer them to the deity, and then we will distribute these to the different brothers and sisters who have come to join in this. The idea is very good. I mean, this gift is symbolical, obviously. What it really means that the brothers ought to look after the sisters and vice versa. This is a spiritual family with great commitment and great responsibility. So buy your beautiful little gift, and some of your sisters are going to get it, or some of your brothers is going to get yours, because the commitment is not with one particular one, but it is with all of them. So in one way, the spiritual family is very large, no? But is there any god sister you can afford to ignore if she is in dire need? Is there any god brother you can afford to get lost? I don't think so. So brothers and sisters is a very wonderful gift of God, and we should cultivate it. And that's the meaning of this festival today. Cultivating ties of commitment with our brothers and sisters. So on the way to 11 o'clock, you should go by any market, buy some chadar, buy some anything, what you like to buy, some gift, and put it in something and write for my brother, or for my brothers, And all these we will offer in front of Radha Mohan, and then we will distribute and make this feeling become very strong that we are people, by the grace of Krishna, who have to look after the welfare of each other. And that will please Radha Brajamohan, and you will have an increased appreciation that you are a member of a spiritual family. So, that's the job of today. The Bharatiya, it actually entails some other things like giving a sweet in the mouth and tying the hand. So we're doing it symbolically, no? But that doesn't mean that you can afford not to catch the action, the essence of it, because the essence is what it's all about, not the form.